He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
To whom it may concern. From Bat Minute. R.E. Minute 27. It is here. It is now. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I have to say, that is my favorite point of this minute, is that suicide note. I was just so happy seeing my suicide.
It's more of a suicide memo.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But yeah, I'm the co-host, Niall McGowan.
Hello.
Hey.
And we are joined once again by our very special guests, all the way from Titanic Minute and Forrest Gump Minute. We have Rob and Duff.
Hey, good to be back.
Hello, thanks for having us.
For this exciting minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, we've got minute 27 today. The minute starts with sobbing, and it ends with the receipt of a mysterious envelope.
So let's jump right in, because I was, we were kind of hovering over the precipice of it last minute. I don't know what it is, because even saying, like, my favorite part of this minute is like, to whom it may concern, from Fred Stickley, my suicide. Like, that is insanely silly, but I love it. But for Jim Carrey's overacting in this little segment really bugs me, because it's just like, it's too
great.
much.
See, I think it's great.
It's too much.
I think this is strangely brilliant casting.
This is like an Ace Ventura outtake.
Totally.
But what do you like? This is Jim Carrey before any dramatic roles, right? Like, what else are you expecting to get?
No, I mean,
this
is why he was cat. I just feel like it's a little too much too soon. Like, he's at an 11. I think he should be at a 7. That's all.
Yeah.
I do think his character should get more like this as the movie progresses. Instead, he's like this from second one.
Yeah. It's, I know that we're not in Burton land anymore, and that it's always going to have some degree of camp, but yeah, he's jacked up from the word go.
Reese.
Oh, he can't possibly continue on here.
I think it's the fact, though, that Paul Michael Chan, in contrast, is so like, pull yourself together, Edward.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he's properly acting in like a serious movie, and then Jim Carrey is just acting like no one would ever buy this if you were pretending to be grieving. Everyone would be like, yeah, it seemed like he was kind of like faking that he was sad.
That kind of brings me to what, based on the minutes that I'm watching, kind of might be a big flaw of this movie, is that everyone knows they're in a campy movie except for Val.
Yeah.
Val's acting it totally straight.
Like,
yes. Val
is just doing his best to continue on as Michael Keaton and hope we don't notice that Batman's blonde now.
Well, that's the weird thing is that, like, relevant that you guys are here, because apparently Joel Schumacher cast Val Kilmer entirely because of Tombstone. He loves him as Doc Holliday so much, and
he's
it's like
so great in as Doc Holliday.
Yeah, and he's a really charming, sort of, laconically so, but like he's very charming, witty. You could imagine him as a kind of swarthy, swaggering socialite, which you think the way they're talking about Bruce Wayne in this, the way that Edward Nygma idolizes this man, and all these magazines covers about him and stuff. That seems to be like that's what they were building up. They wanted Doc Holliday, Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Yeah, they want someone charismatic.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Val delivered, like, not his performance from The Doors, but the performance of a door, where he just kind of walks into the room and just says things very, very stringently and stiffly. And
I like him, but he has completely removed any charisma whatsoever from this part.
And
he is playing it straight.
Was that a Val Kilmer choice? Was that a Schumacher choice?
That's hard to tell, really.
Or maybe it's a studio choice. Like, it seems like something got lost in translation about how to play this character.
They don't really talk about it too much in any of the supplementary materials, do they? You could assume that maybe it was a Val Kilmer
because Joel Schumacher has no nice things to say about Val Kilmer. Like, there's a reason he's not back for the next movie, and I wouldn't be surprised. We can't get the exact details of what happened, other than he was very difficult to work with,
which is like a standard thing about Val Kilmer.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if Joel Schumacher was like, I want you to be charming, and I want you to seem as if you were a guy who's like, really, like, he's out every night and he's always got woman on his arm, and he's just like, yeah, Bruce Wayne is like the talk of the town, and he's essentially friggin' the Great Gatsby. Like, that's what I want you to play. And then Val Kilmer was like, no, I'm not doing that. I want him to be dead inside, and that's the way I'm going to play him. And the two of them could have been clashing every goddamn day in set, and that's why this performance is delivered, and that's why Joel Schumacher is like, get him out of here. I never want to see that guy again.
Even in the Nolan movies, which are, serious and dour to the extreme, like, we see Christian Bale, like,
Bruce Wayne has fun.
Yeah, like, he's good at faking being the Bruce Wayne that, we're supposed to believe the people see, where he's just, hanging out with models, and he's a playboy and a party boy and just kind of brass and yeah, like, so even in the Nolan, which I love, but are, much, much more serious, like, we see that. And here, like, Bruce Wayne's just a wet blanket.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, Val Kilmer is a terrible Batman, and I have in my notes here that I don't know why, but I think you guys explained it. He's in the wrong movie. Like, he walked into the wrong movie.
Well, did no one tell him that the tone was shifting and that they're not doing the Burton?
Maybe he was opposed to the shift in tone, and he's like, I'm not doing that.
Maybe this was Tim Burton's revenge, and that, like, because he was a producer, and he's like telling Kilmer's like, no, you should just do it straight.
It'll be funnier if you do it straight.
Yeah, because he's done, like, Top Secret and stuff. It's not like Val Kilmer hasn't done silly before.
Val Kilmer seemed to be, like, at the beginning of his career, almost like a comedy actor, like, much like Michael Keaton. So
and he can do over the top. I mean,
Yep.
This was around the same time he did The Island of Dr. Moreau. So
that's right.
Another movie where he was not on good terms with anyone.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's if anyone out there is curious, like, there's a whole documentary about the making of The Island of Dr. Moreau, the Richard Stanley documentary. It's available on Amazon Prime, and it's there's a little bit of Val Kilmer in it, but, like, the whole production was just such a fascinating show that I highly recommend looking into.
Somehow there was a movie starring Marlon Brando, and Marlon Brando was not the most difficult person involved in the movie.
I was really upset to find this out. When we started doing research for this season, I always thought Val Kilmer seemed like a really nice guy. I love him and stuff. I really like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
He comes across like fun and stuff.
Maybe his artwork has mellowed him with age.
Hey, I have some of that artwork.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, because when I finished Tombstone Minute, I was like, well, I need to have some way to celebrate doing this. So I bought, for way too much money, like Val Kilmer artwork of Doc Holliday, and it says love on it with Val Kilmer signature, which I believe you can get Batmans like this too, guys. So that could
oh my God.
And there's a sale going on. I just looked this morning, and I think that they're closing out or trying to get rid of some of the Batman stuff, so you can get stuff for only $150.
Oh my God, Niall, the Patreon money's going to that. Screw going to the Movies by Minutes convention.
It's just like, when people ask, why aren't you guys here this time? And then just us sending a picture of us posing with the photo of
just your entire,
Val Kilmer's art.
Both of your houses are just full of Val Kilmer art.
I would not object to that, I'll be honest. I mean, my partner might. She might complain. But
although, here's another thing, though, because, and this is, I know you guys dealt with this a lot in Titanic Minute, where you go on IMDb and they're like, well, that the casting rumors are like, oh,
it's crazy.
Apparently, Chris O'Donnell apparently was in contention for Jack, all that kind of thing. But, like, there's a big list of other people who apparently were up for the role of Batman. And I won't go into too many of them here, but the main one, which would be appropriate to mention to you guys, is apparently Tom Hanks was considered. And I don't know if I believe that, unless they were like,
I'm sure they considered it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
whether he did or not.
So I believe, I'm sure that there were some coked up studio execs who were just naming off every bankable actor. And so technically it counts as being considered. But like, was Tom Hanks' agent ever sent a script or anything? Like,
I mean, I
No
can imagine
chance.
him. They're like, who's kind of like Michael Keaton in like that he's a kind of average weight, average height,
Yeah.
sort of curly haired, versatile actor who kind of gives that same vibe, but he doesn't even give the same vibe because Michael Keaton, he always has like a kind of darkness throughout most of his work, elsewhere, barring Mr. Mom and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, Tom Hanks is just like, well, he is, America's sweetheart for the most part.
he's America's dad. Like, he's our dad in spirit.
Like, I remember when Road to Perdition came out, and like Road to Perdition's a good movie. Tom Hanks
Yeah.
is pretty good in it, but I think
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
He's a
'cause it
bad
was
guy.
so soon. Because so soon after 9/11, and I remember the reviews are going, Tom, it's like it's nice that Tom Hanks is branching out, but like this is not the movie. This is not the Tom Hanks America needs right now. Like they wanted a more like we want a more wholesome Tom Hanks movie than this really
We need
dark
uplifting.
hitman drama that you've come out with.
It's crazy though, because he's really not even all that bad in that movie. I mean, he kills people, but he's the criminal with honor. He has a code, and it's all about
likable.
he's acting for his son and his family. It's not like Taxi Driver with Tom Hanks or something.
Oh, now that I want to see. Someone do a deep fake, please.
Yeah.
Although I do like the idea though, because this is 95, Forrest Gump is 94, so it would have been impressive if he was like doing all that running, and then he literally ran out of the studio into the Warner Brothers lot and just popped on the bat suit. And he's like, "That's why I took Forrest Gump, as I was just doing all that running so I could beef up, so I could bulk up for Batman." And then he just couldn't get the accent out of his head the whole time. He's just doing like, do you like the circus, doctor?
Fun fact about Forrest Gump. That's his brother who does a lot of the running scenes because Tom doesn't like to run.
Is that his reason? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, that can't be
not my
bothered. You
thing.
do it.
But get my brother in here
So
to do it.
So he took the part of a character who's known for running a lot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't run.
That's what you can do. That's what you can do when you win an Oscar.
Yep.
That's the clout you have.
That is this. Maybe, I've got like I'm comfortable at this level of my career to go. No, you do it.
Yeah.
I'll do the easy stuff. I'll
Not
sit on
running.
that
You can
bench
get me
for
to-
as long as you
You
want.
get me to run, but it'll cost you double.
Yep.
Well, that also makes sense because after Forrest Gump, his next movie was just him sitting doing voiceover work.
Smart move.
Wait, is it Philadelphia?
Oh,
That's what I first thought.
there's a lot of sitting in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
The original title of that movie was Dangerous Lesions.
Nick.
Although I do kind of like the idea that he was in between takes with Forrest Gump, he was sitting on that bench, and then he just pull out the dictaphone and start doing like lines for the other movie.
Just did some Toy Story ADR like in between Forrest Gump.
And it's like when he sent all the tapes into Pixar, it's like you can hear like cars honking in the background and dogs and stuff. Like, God damn, I'm not re-recording it. So
I'm not running or re-recording it. Oh man! So I have something to admit here that I don't think any of you know. So Duff, you mentioned that you knew I was a Jim Carrey fan. I'm a Jim Carrey fan. As a kid, I loved this run he had in '94 so much so that I had a Batman Forever poster in my room,
Yes.
and it was from this movie. It's just him wearing the Riddler costume, and Batman Forever, and I think the date that this movie came out. And I had that in my room.
Is it the one where his head is just kind of cocked to the side and his
Yes.
do you want to know how I knew that?
How?
I had that poster.
What?
And me, one of the hosts of the show, didn't. God damn it.
is that the one where he's like standing, like the legs spread, and he's got his arms at this really awkward angle?
Yes,
I'm trying
a
to
V.
find it.
They're like a V. He's got
Yeah, okay, I found it. I'm gonna send the link in a second.
June 16th.
Ooh, and we'll put it in the group when this episode airs.
Well, a week after my birthday. So, although I think it was a different release date over here than it was in the US.
This is the one I had.
Yep.
Or if
Yep.
not,
Me too.
Yep.
Yep. That's it.
Cool
Yeah,
guys. Cool guys.
Because that's the thing. Like, what is going on with his arms in that though? Like, what decision?
He's
that
crazy,
looks,
man.
He's wild and wacky.
That strikes me as like a Photoshop job that they were just like, we don't know what to do with his arms. Like he was twisting them all over the place. It's like, just put them there. And it's like, there you go. That's fine.
Do you know how awkward it was for me, guys, in high school when I brought a girl back to my room and I had this poster? I don't know the answer to that, actually, because it didn't happen.
So
I thought they would have been aroused.
So I do know what eventually replaced this poster, went over it. It was a Men in Black poster.
Oh.
See,
that is very of the time.
Yeah,
as well.
swapping out the Riddler for Two-Face there.
Yeah. Mine was in plastic with the cardboard on it, so it was like the only nice
mint.
poster.
I'm trying to think if I had any Batman posters. I don't know. I did have an Austin Powers 2 poster.
Oh, nice.
It was a felicity.
Yeah.
You know. I think that's about it, though. Yeah, no Batman ones. No, that's shameful to admit. I think I also had a Godzilla poster.
That reminds me, in Austin Powers 2, there was this guy on our dorm freshman year who claimed that he had a model shoot, and it was with, as he said, Heather Grams, and he said Heather Grams every time he told the story, and I was just like, that's not her
It's
name,
not helping
man.
you lie.
You sure he didn't mean like the Heather Grahams, like the porno actress Heather
Yeah,
Grahams.
maybe he did. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, that's what he was trying to be even cooler.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've done that.
Heather Grams.
Oh, well, back in the minute.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring something up because we were talking about this amazing, hilarious Niall suicide letter.
It's a funny
And,
suicide letter.
Even funnier than the letter itself is the way Gordon looks at it and goes, "Yep, definitely suicide."
It's like, I just
You
had to come down to
imbecile.
verify this. Yep, for sure she was. Why would you call why is he even called in, and then like his level of investigative work, if people think this is suspicious, is it just like, well, it looks like suicide, and he's got a suicide letter. Yep, that's
Why would a
my
note
job is
lie?
done. Again, this could be like, this is why the city needs Batman, because Bruce Wayne might be the one going, no, like I think maybe I need a little more proof than this.
Well, maybe it was the combination of the suicide letter and the video footage of the guy Star is Borning.
That's a weird thing, right? The video. What? Do we get an explanation for this later? And I've forgotten. How does the video show him running?
How do they do it? I have no idea.
I really like the idea that it is Edward Nygma in a wig. Just like...
Yeah. Also, I like that, how he kind of like runs into the suicide. Like usually you have people go to the ledge and just kind of like, collect
Think about
their breath.
it for a second.
Yeah, this
Nah, they just run.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I'm going to need to break that window. It's like, just go to a different window. One that you can open, and then you don't have to... like, you could just crack your head off that thing and then just fall backwards. Wake up the next morning, with wet pants and people staring at you going like, what the hell happened to you, Fred? It's like, God damn it.
But I'm starting to think that the mob have put Gordon in charge because they know he's an idiot.
Oh.
So they've put him in a position of power. Exploit the fool that he is.
Yeah. It would make more sense than anything else, but
It makes more sense than what we're seeing in this film.
one thing I do have to ask though, and this could be another, like, we've mentioned in several episodes, like the concept of what the box does is so undercooked and it's so not utilized to its full potential. But so when he says like, oh, you'll notice that the sentence structure and spelling and all this is exactly the way that Fred Stickley's would be. Does Edward Nygma know how to do that because he has sucked in Stickley's brainwaves, or because he can also digitally make it appear that Stickley killed himself in this footage? Is Edward Nygma like, friggin' Winona Ryder and Heathers, where she's like apparently can replicate any kind of handwriting? And if so, again, at least in Heathers, like they made that a plot point that recurred throughout the film. This is just like, oh, by the way, he can also replicate this guy's handwriting exactly.
Well, to be
Is
fair,
it the box?
What does, like, I think make the suicide letter even funnier is he does say that, right? It's replicated exactly how he writes. Well, the only way that Edward Nygma would have ever received a note from his boss would have been as an office memo, and that's why I think it's so funny that the suicide letter is written like an office memo.
Yeah, I think that's a great gag.
I mean, like from, regarding, and then like what the message is. Oh man, it's very funny.
So here's
It's genius.
I have a broader question of, does Wayne Enterprises just make everything? Are they kind of like 3M? I don't know if you guys 3M makes scotch tape and chemicals and all types of weird stuff.
Oh, it's one of those companies.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
so-
yeah.
I think it does, yeah. Because
It just kind of seems like, in the Nolan movies, they obviously make stuff for the army and they make weapons, but they're like a bioscience division.
And this movie seems to indicate that, like, because you assume Edward Nygma is tech because he's working on a technical device, but then in the rest of the office they have people with DNA helixes and stuff, which makes it seem like that'd be more of a chemistry or like biology kind of department or something. But it just seems like everything's just in the same room here.
And-
like we only have the one.
And in Batman Begins, they made the train, so they make they have government contracts and they do infrastructure.
Yeah.
And
They dabble
But
in
you
everything.
never really get a lot of detail on that in any of these 4 movies. Like, it's always very vague.
Enterprises, just Wayne Enterprises, whatever enterprising needs to be done.
Whatever suits the plot.
and
Yeah.
you never know how Thomas Wayne made his money. You just know he's rich. And
Yeah,
I kind of like that, though. I don't need to know all that.
It's always kind of admirable because Thomas Wayne's always referred to as like a proper doctor. Like he was an actual.
oh, that's right.
active
Sometimes
doctor.
he's a doctor.
And then he also happened to be like a millionaire. I guess like I kind of respect him more of the fact like, oh, he was a millionaire and then he went and trained himself to be a doctor at the same time. It's like, oh well, fair play if he came from money and then he still had the worth ethic to go out and actually become like something that's very, very difficult to do.
something that's
No,
helpful.
no millionaire has a work ethic.
Employs a butler who occasionally runs Black Ops CIA missions.
We all need that in our back pocket. I'm telling you.
Oh,
Well,
man.
As the scene goes on, though, like, although we'll point out, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the returning cameo, if you can see it like 24 seconds or so, you see who's in the far left-hand corner of the room, just with no lines throughout the entire movie?
I don't think so.
That's a very young Jon Favreau. Is just hanging about the
Oh,
set.
wow.
Yeah,
Right.
he's in the end
Oh.
credits too. Like it's just like, oh, you got a credit,
Yeah.
as doing something, but literally all he does is hang about in the background.
And steal
DeLorean
ideas
back
from
there.
Marvel.
Would this be pre-Swingers?
Yeah, this was literally. I think it was post Rudy, just before Swingers. So I think it's like they were getting him on the cusp. But
I wonder, did he have any lines that were cut, or is he just an extra?
Well, I
'Cause
think
it
if he's
seems-
an extra, he would just be lobbied in with the other extras. But
You wouldn't it be credited then?
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he has a credit but no lines. So
there's a thing I'm looking forward to, like in the next movie. The bit where Mr. Freeze is conducting all his goons to sing, I'm Mr. White Christmas and all that business. The people have pointed out, if you actually look at those guys' mouths, is like, oh, they're not singing that in the actual movie, and apparently it's because they have the workaround of like, well, if they are singing it, you have to pay them more because
yeah,
it's a speaking part. But if you just have them mouth it and then have them credited as extras, you don't have to pay them as much.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Warner Brothers really going the extra mile to not pay Irving Berlin's descendants there.
Screw those guys.
Amazing.
But Jon Favreau, apparently maybe they knew he was on the way up. They're like,
or
oh,
maybe
yeah,
they
that guy
added it
was-
later. They might have. I mean, is that a thing they could have just added later once he became big? Like, let's make sure he's in the credits.
Oh, maybe. Just like digitally put him into other scenes, like friggin' Jabba the
Yes.
Hutt in the
There
special
we go.
edition.
Like, it's like
Perfect.
when an actor will be in a movie for 5 minutes 20 years ago and then they become famous and then they'll market a movie as like starring Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp's only been in it for like 2 minutes.
I was actually surprised because recently I only just watched A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
And I was always under the
yeah.
impression that was what Johnny Depp was in that. So I was really surprised that he's actually in it quite a lot.
Yeah, and that was even more shocking. Then in like the 6th one, they get him back. They're like, oh, he's at. And I'm thinking after Wes Craven, because Wes Craven's another, like Joel Schumacher, very soft-spoken, very nice guy.
yeah.
And when they made New Nightmare, he's like, oh, I didn't want to bug Johnny Depp. I didn't think he'd want to do it. And then Johnny Depp found out about it. He's like, of course I would have wanted to be in it. Jesus Christ, just give me a call. Like, I'm not going to bite you.
But
Although,
did Wes Craven
you know.
sleep with as many people as Joel Schumacher?
Well, that's the thing. You never. Well, now, unfortunately, Wes Craven's dead. He's not going around boasting about his 200,000 lays.
Is that a thing Joel Schumacher does? Is he like the Wilt Chamberlain of directors?
Oh yeah, he's this year he came out with an interview where he's like, I've had sex with over 200,000 people.
Wow.
I mean,
Those numbers cannot be right. They just cannot be right.
Just doing the math on that doesn't seem possible.
Hey, we don't know how many parties he's attended.
Yeah. That's true.
He's just I mean, like, you know, you consider those extras from Batman and Robin. It's like he screwed all of them over in the one go.
There were a couple of years where, you know, he was an A-list director, and you got to get up at like 4 a.m. How does he have time for that? Do you know who else involved in this movie? I hope has that type of a number. Pat Hingle.
Yes. Of course he does. Who doesn't want a piece of that?
Chicks dig character actors.
It's the same. Every single appearance on Murder, She Wrote, where he always played a different character every single time he showed up, was him and Angela Lansbury. He had to seduce her all over again every time.
Well,
so you look a lot like the guy who played like Ray Finkel in the last episode. Like, no, completely different man.
Ray Finkel. Aren't you Einhorn?
Yeah.
Einhorn is
Callback.
Oh boy.
Well, back in the minute for a second though.
Yeah.
Because we want to press on for you. Bruce informs a staff member that he wants full benefits for Stickley's family. I think you brought this up at the start there, Niall. And she informs him that suicide isn't covered by the corporate insurance policy. Bruce doesn't care. He's like, do it anyway. But my thinking was, okay, I get that. But suicide at work, I would think would be covered because it's late at night. I know they might not have asked him to come in, but it would look like they've kind of implied he has to come in and they've worked him to death. He's gone insane.
Well, that's probably why Bruce is saying do it anyway. It's probably
yeah, that would look really bad in the press, right?
Bruce knows the optics on this aren't good.
He's not being nice. He's just like, yeah, I don't want the bad press.
The thing is, like, that makes so much sense that I feel like I've had the wool pulled over my ass because, like, oh, this is nice that he's like this, like, you know, Bruce Wayne is a heart a good guy, and he's like, no, I know, you know, give them the full benefits though.
Billionaires are never nice, Niall.
But yeah. That makes total sense. It's like, no, he knows how this will play in the public eye, so he's like, no, you better make sure we pay out that goddamn insurance money.
Well, yeah, because it's going to look like you've just, you know, the boss has to come in after hours and work really late.
It makes you wonder.
Because this happens in Japan a lot. Like, they have a high suicide rate for, like, corporate managers.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why in the insurance policy in itself, it isn't already covered. Because he's like, oh, I'm not covering that. And then this one circumstance, like, yeah, maybe this one time we should let that go.
Usually, I don't think they do cover it, to be fair.
No,
because it's
usually
your
don't.
decision.
People would just be killing themselves all over.
It'd be happening left and right, goddammit.
Also,
we can't be having that.
In America, this would be a news story about how, like, CEO Bruce Wayne covers and like, and it would be like spun as like, what a great guy.
Yeah.
What a great
nice.
person to do that.
Yeah.
The benevolent boss.
Yes. So
He
good.
doesn't have to do it, but he's helping the family.
But this is, the staff member he's talking to, this is Margaret. She's called in the end credits, is played by an actress called Kimberly Scott, who's like a frequent collaborator with Joel Schumacher. Her and Paul Michael Chan in the background are going to appear in Batman and Robin, much like Pat Hingle showing up in 2 different roles.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of them are on Schumacher's list.
I just imagine everyone in this movie, bar the A-list guys, is on his list.
Val Kilmer's the one guy who, like, you know, was very demanding in the bedroom. He's like, oh, get that guy out of here.
That's really why everyone fell out with him.
Yeah. We're not really into this, Val.
But the
At
actual...
least pretend.
One of the other things Kimberly Scott was in, you know, tie into what you guys was covering Titanic. She played Lisa One Night Standing in The Abyss. Back in the 80s. Also in Flatliners, people who might remember Flatliners. She was actually a pretty big part of that movie where Flatliners is a very silly plot line, but, like, you know, people, medical students who are literally bringing themselves to death, brain death,
For kicks.
then going into the afterlife and then coming back, and then they start having these weird visions. And, like, Kevin Bacon's character has a weird vision of, like, this little girl he used to pick on in elementary school, and he comes to apologize to her. And it's Kimberly Scott. Like, she had a pretty big part in that movie.
Huh.
Did anyone ever see the Flatliners remake?
No. And the thing is, it's got so many people in it that I really like. Oh, I like Ellen Page. I like Kirstie Clemens. And then it's like 4% in Rotten Tomatoes. So like,
it just came and went, and it got terrible reviews, but I don't know anyone who's seen it. I'm like, yeah, like you said, like Ellen Page. I'm like, that seems like I wonder if that was just her needing a big paycheck so she doesn't have to do movies like that ever again. Like,
hey, smart move.
Yeah.
I remember seeing her out promoting it though, and like they're saying like, oh yeah, all the Flatliners, all those characters, they went and lived in a house together so they could come across
they flatlined?
They actually did flatline.
But they were doing things like we call like the slip and slides together. Like they went and lived with each other for like 11 weeks or something, so they could come across like they were proper friends.
That's a good idea.
It seems like they had a great time. Like, I think like all the photos behind the set, they're just like all hugging each other and having this like. It seems if nothing else came out of that movie, Ellen Page made some lifelong friends.
Well, that's
the thing, right? It might be a terrible movie, allegedly. I don't know, but as the actors in it, like, why would you care, right? You've had a nice time. You've made some friends. You've got some cash.
Yeah.
Screw it.
It's not about the movies you make, but the friends you make along the way, guys.
Exactly.
Literally.
But Kimberly Scott also appeared in, I just love the title, Stolen, One Husband, which is a 1990 comedy starring
I hope
Elliot
colon
Gould.
is spelled out, by the way.
Yeah. I was worried for a minute she was stealing the husband's colon.
It would be like a stolen colon.
Stolen colon.
Stolen colon.
Comma, one husband. But the plot summary is an angry wife seeks revenge against her philandering entrepreneur husband who left her for a younger woman. And then I kind of had beef with the title because it's like, well, it's not stolen one husband. That's he just pissed off. Like, that's not. You can't blame the other woman for stealing him if he's just a dick.
That's misogyny at work. You know, the man is allowed to sleep.
I hope that I hope that it was in memo form, like the suicide letter. Stolen, comma, one husband.
And then like the sequel was re-stolen, comma, one husband.
Oh, re-stolen as well. That works in two ways.
Please return one husband to the break room.
Yours sincerely.
To whom it may concern.
And then just because it kind of ties into this movie, she was also in something called Santa Jr. with Lauren Holly, who of course was who played Merry Christmas in Dumb and Dumber, and went out with Jim Carrey for a while. So
yeah,
it all ties in.
Yeah.
Also reached out to Kimberly Scott to see if she'd be interested in coming on the show, and she did not get back to us. So
you're cancelled.
Yeah, that's it. So worst actress in the whole damn movie, Kimberly Scott.
Terrible. But then Bruce stumbles upon a mysterious symbol, a question mark. It appears to be on like a letter or something, but nobody knows how it got there.
World's greatest
detective. Which seems to suggest to me that it hasn't always been there. Like maybe Nigma's only just come up with this after the fact. And when everyone was looking away, he just sort of slipped it there.
Well, there's so many things here, like Edward Nigma's presence in this office. Like, I guess they have to have a scene where they show him quitting. But for one thing, like everyone in that office is going to know, everyone in that lab is going to know, Fred Stickley hated Edward Nigma. He he very blatantly hated him. Why would he leave his suicide note with him unless it's like, this is the guy. He caused me to kill myself, so I'm leaving my suicide note with him. And then everyone would be like, Edward Nigma seems to be taking this really badly. That's a bit suspicious. Why is... Yeah. And if Bruce Wayne walks past him, would he not be like, that seems weird that he's doing that? And now I've got this question mark on my table. This is
lime
strange.
green question mark, of which the same lime green shirt that Ed Nigma's wearing.
Oh,
and lime green
How
was
did
big.
They not put that together?
Lime green was big in this era. I remember I liked a girl in high school that lime green was her favorite color.
It's my favorite color.
It's a very 90s Southern California color. Like, it's very, very, very in back then. Guys, this...
Oh, I need to move to California.
Well, you're about 20 years too late. Or 25 or whatever. So this question mark, Rob, I feel like this will be the same for you. This question mark is triggering because of Batman video games.
Oh, yes.
Because of Arkham City and Arkham Knight. And
I can't be the only one of us, right, who sees those and just thinks, no, I'm not doing
not doing this.
those goddamn literally hundreds of question marks.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was like 40, but no, endless.
There was one time after Arkham City, I was going like, I'm going to go through and get all of them. And I think after an hour, I was like, no, the hell with this. I'm walking away.
I think in Arkham Knight, it's you actually like do all this stuff and you think you're going to finally like, you know, arrest or nab the Riddler or whatever. It's like, oh, you just got to solve 300 riddles. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Because they're technically not riddles, they're puzzles. It's always like, move this block and shoot this button. And it's like, oh, Christ, no.
And you have to do some kind of weird, elaborate crap with the remote control batarang.
Each one of them can take like hours. Maybe not hours. Maybe I'm just stupid, but yeah.
I want to see Bruce having to do that in this movie.
There you go.
A Batman movie where it's just him like moving blocks and throwing the batarang at buttons to get the right sequence.
And messing it up 50 times in a row.
Then
God damn it!
And then just ultimately quitting because it isn't any fun.
That's more believable to me.
Kind of like drive the Batmobile around, like literally do like we call them a grind around a tunnel with the Batmobile and keeps falling halfway through and have to drive back to the start. No, the hell with it. I can cover this one later and just leaving the whole area again.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I do appreciate about actually a little note about Edward Nygma's shirt. I just like the fact that he's wearing the same clothes because Edward Nygma does strike me as the type of guy like, that's like the fourth day he's had on that lime green shirt.
Yeah,
like, And then when he's in the spandex with Two-Face, like there's probably some concerns about the smell because it's just
I was gonna say he must smell bad.
Yeah.
Well, as somebody who has dressed up as Green Man from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I will tell you, you got to wash those things.
Yeah, I have a Green Man suit. Yeah. They it doesn't let sweat go through very well. I mean, it's just
oh no.
Yes.
Well, for Halloween, I recently, as of recording, I was Catwoman as well, and let me tell you, that's worse.
Yeah.
I unzipped that thing and it was like a pool.
You wonder if they had like little that was a bonding moment between Val Kilmer and Jim Carrey. It's like which one of us is actually no, Jim Carrey would be at least comfortable in that outfit.
I think you're comfortable.
He would at least have mobility because it's all spandex.
Yeah, it's very freeing.
I think at the end Val would still come out the worst because even Chris O'Donnell, he's in the rubber Robin suit.
Yeah,
but at least his head's not like encased, so he'd be like, well, I'm getting off easy. I've just got this thing stuck to my eyes, but you know. Val Kilmer would be like, no, I can't even hear what you're saying, so I've got friggin' rubber, like 4 layers of rubber just wrapped around my goddamn head.
60 pounds of latex.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there's like a little, you know, this is, of course, the first allusion to the Riddler. Mm-hmm. But because I know you're pushed for time, Duff, so like we can get in all the Riddler stuff when the riddle itself is revealed next week. But don't
want to get too far ahead.
Illusions, Michael.
But you know, at this point of the week, we'd always ask the guests if they have any history with the movie. You think you guys, you know, coming out with these?
Yeah, in the same poster.
Yeah,
a beautiful moment.
Unbelievable.
Yep. It just kind of shows you how like huge Jim Carrey was with boys who were like, you know, 11 to 13. We were in the Jim Carrey sweet spot. Like we were the right age. Like
yeah, I even liked Cable Guy when it came out.
Cable Guy's great.
I'll defend Cable Guy. Cable Guy is like
Cable Guy is another movie that I kind of actually believe has been reappraised and now it's kind of appreciated. Yeah. But at the time it's weird because at the time so much of the backlash was like, oh, they gave Jim Carrey so much money. It's like, so? He's
the biggest actor in the world at the time.
He's a movie star. Like, it's like, yeah, movie stars make an obscene amount of money. Like,
it's how capitalism works.
Yeah.
But there's a real thing with like early 90s comedy that is like, and I wonder if it'll be in any other era, if we'll ever see it again in our lifetimes, with people looking back and be like, what were we thinking? Because like, looking back now and Jim Carrey sings, and even like Pauly Shore and things like Biodome. Oh yeah,
Son-in-Law,
like
baby.
Yeah. Like nowadays it's like, what the hell? Why would anyone ever like Pauly Shore? How did that man ever get successful?
I do wonder how early Jim Carrey movies fare with the next generation, like say people Gen Z born like 2000-ish.
Yeah,
like,
does Dumb and Dumber make them laugh?
Or Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd like it.
My gut instinct is they would just kind of watch it and be like, I don't get any of this.
Even me watching them now, I'm a bit like, I liked this.
Yeah.
I used to really like the second Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah, when he comes out of the rhino.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part.
He does the slinky down the.
And I annoy my girlfriend by saying all the time just random Ace Ventura catchphrases.
Bumblebee tuna.
And she'll park the car when we're on our way home, and I'm just like a glove.
I think
It's like, what are you doing?
Just people of a certain age, like that's just encoded in your DNA now.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah.
But now looking back, it's like, why? How did this shtick get this guy so far that he was like that successful on material that's just like I always wonder in at the end of Liar Liar, when they do the outtakes, and then he's yelling at that other attorney, and then she just shouts "overactor," and then the whole set bursts out laughing, and Jim Carrey's like, "Oh, they're on to me." I do wonder if there was like a deep resentment amongst the acting community. It was like, how come this guy's got it good? How did he get so far? But all he's doing is just overdoing everything.
Hey, no one had done that for a long time at that point. I suppose it was like the evolution of sort of physical comedy.
I think everyone was just amazed because it was Robin Williams, but without cocaine. Like,
oh my god, it is very Robin Williams too.
Like, as far as I know, Jim Carrey's never done drugs, right? There's never any.
Oh, he's a proper.
He says no.
He's a very clean cut guy. Like no coffee, any kind of nothing that will alter his body. Apparently,
Well, not to get too dark though before we wrap up, but obviously was it his wife or his girlfriend who died?
Oh, it was the ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
The ex. But she was addicted to drugs.
Oh,
and I thought the implication was it was something to do with him.
I think that her family tried to sue him, saying that he had used his clout and influence to get her these prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And then I think Jim Carrey had to come out. I don't think it got thrown out of court, but I think he had to come out and say, like, I was hoping not to have to reply to this, but because it's all out there now, I just have to say this is, ridiculous, and it's tragic that you're dragging her name through the mud and my name through the mud when it had nothing to do with me and all this kind of stuff. But, it's one of those ones of like, well, I think someone else then, after that, also tried to sue him for wrongful death and stuff. But
it seemed like it came and went, so...
He also had that weird thing with Emma Stone, where
he got really thirsty for her online.
Yeah, a couple of weird things with Jim Carrey. Although I will appreciate that he at least made fun of himself for that, because I think like the next year in the MTV Awards or something, they had her like a video made about Emma Stone where like we're talking about like, oh, this up and coming star and she's such a wonderful actress, and all these other celebrities talking about like, oh, I worked with her, she's just a joy and stuff. And then it cut to Jim Carrey with an I Hates Emma Stone t-shirt on going, I don't like her. I have no time for her whatsoever.
Well, at least he didn't think they were in a relationship like Moby.
Now I'm seeing that Jim Carrey's an anti-vaxxer. Oh, no.
Yeah, that upset me.
We can blame Jenny McCarthy for that.
No, well, on that downer,
we
should probably wrap up.
Yeah.
So would you like to tell everybody where they can find you guys one more time?
We are doing Forrest Gump Minute. Forrest Gump 4 minutes at a time. You can go to forrestgumpminute.com. And if you don't want to hear us talk about a movie minute by minute, we also have another podcast where we talk about full-length movies, and that is called A Free Podcast, which you will find at afreepodcast.com.
And if you want to hear us talk more about Son-in-Law, for $2, you can
that's true.
You can get what was it, like an hour-long episode or so?
Yeah, about Son-in-Law. Yeah, speaking of Pauly Shore.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm
excited for that.
Yeah, we have our own Patreon.
For roughly the cost of a soda, you can hear us talk about Son-in-Law.
Yes.
Hell yeah, that's a bargain, people. Do it. Go and check that out. Give them money, and come give us money at Patreon. Buy a t-shirt, TeePublic. We're on there. And we're on Instagram at The Bat Minute. Check that out. And join the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. That's the most important one. Oh, we're on Reddit as well, which nobody knows about. So we've only got like 6 members of the Reddit.
I don't trust Reddit.
It's a private Reddit. It's okay. It's okay. You're hidden from the freaks.
Okay.
Well, other than me, so it's fine. But we will depart into the dark, dark night, and customarily I do this before we go. I toss a coin. I need to decide if we're letting you guys go scot-free or we are murdering you horrifically.
Okay.
Would you like heads or tails for survival?
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. Let's go. Right. Tails. And I don't cheat this anymore. For the first 2 weeks I was cheating. You get to survive and maybe come back another day.
All right.
Excellent.
Good. I'm glad.
You get to finish Forrest Gump?
Yeah. So go and check out Forrest Gump, people, because it's not going to stop halfway through like that original Jaws minute did.
They'll never live that down.
Nope, never. Years later, we're going to be talking about it. So yes, check them out, check us out, and come back on Monday for more Bat Minute Forever.
Next time, hey diddle diddle, it's time for a riddle. A cryptogram concerning a chronicler marks a time of a chronically cracked nut's descent into crime. But while a non-teen titan meditates on his first obtuse tip, which of the habitual habitués will arrive at their habitat to the smacks of flaming lips? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da.